I want to thank you guys for all the questions that you had asked me, and I am so excited to tell you all the answers. Thank you, Alex, for your question. No, I typically do not paint the sculptures. For this sculpture garden, I am not painting any of them, but I have painted sculptures in the past, typically for ceramics. Yes, Gracie, I do like working in my studio, especially when it's perfect temperature because it's not heated or air conditioned. Paige, thank you for your question. It's going to take me about a month and a half to finish all the sculptures. I have until the beginning of May, so I have about a month left and I have a lot of work to finish. This question is for Scott. The tool that I use is an angle grinder. It plugs in and it has a cord. This is what it looks like here. When you turn it on, there's a blade here that spins and it cuts the wood. Thank you, Jeremy, for your question. And yes, I do like working outside, but it's easier for me right now to work indoors because it's easier to clean up and I don't have to clean up as much. And especially if it's cold outside or raining, it's easiest to work indoors. Thank you, Lacey, for your question. I'm going to make the larger sculptures by using lots of different types of tools, ladders because they're taller than I am. This question was from Britain. What was my first sculpture? I'm going to show you a picture of it. We had a block of wood and we had to add wire and nails to it and create our own sculpture. So that was my very first sculpture that I've done in college. Raquel, thank you for your question. The sculptures are going to be 6 feet and 5 feet. This is 5 feet about. I'm 5'2", so he's about 5 foot. And then this one back here is taller. You can see he's taller than I am. And there's another one in the back that's just as tall as this one. Thank you, kindergarten class, for your questions. I get my tools at lots of different places. I go to Woodcraft. They have a lot of wood tools that I use. I go to Lowe's, Home Depot, lumber yards, and places like that to gather my material. And I also, sometimes I use found objects, which don't cost anything. I find them outside. I am an artist because I enjoy working with materials, and I love making things ever since I was young. Even your age, I was making and drawing and painting, and I loved it. My favorite art I like to do is sculpture, and I think my favorite material is probably finding objects and putting them together, and also I like working with wood. Thank you, Maggie and Emily, for your question. I wanted to be a sculpture artist because I enjoy working with my hands and making things. Thank you, Jake, for your question. My studio is in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour from your school. Yes, my husband did make the half pipe from scratch. Thank you, Kristen, for your question. I've been making art for probably all my life, but more seriously the past maybe 6 years or so I've been making art. Thank you, Chase, for your question. The type of wood I'm using is oak for the Moai statue. Thank you, Barbara, for all of your questions. These chisels are probably one of my favorite tools, just chisels in general. These are really small, and I like to make small sculptures, so this is one of my favorite tools. It's hard to pick just one. There's so many different tools that do different things. How you use an angle grinder is pretty simple. This is what it looks like, and you hold it with this handle, and there's a trigger here that you turn it on with, and while it's spinning you can chop the wood, and this particular blade cuts straight up and down, and you can also do some carving with it also. And what will be my next project? That is a good question, because I'm always constantly looking for new avenues in my art, new pathways, and new things to do. As of right now, I'm focusing on the sculpture garden, so I'm not necessarily thinking about what's next, but I'm excited for what is next. Thank you guys so much for your questions, and I can't wait for you guys to see the finished sculptures.